Good afternoon, friends. Today we shall start our second unit second. It is based on the syllabus of Swami Ramanandit, Marathwada University, Nanded for BSc third year. The unit second, so one of the topic, that is biology of indigenous and exotic species. First of all, that what is meant by the biology? Biology, it is nothing but the study of the fishes or the study of animals. So the different life stages of that the animals we have studied under the category, it is nothing but called as the biology of the animals. Now in this topic we have seen the biology of indigenous means the species they have found into the India, they are called as the indigenous species, and the species they have brought from the other country, that is called as the exotic species. So we have seen the life history, the criteria of the selection of species, and why it is see the biology of that indigenous and the exotic species before the starting of the fish culture into the fish farms. So first of all, that what is the need or the need of the species selection? On the basis of this criteria, they have give a productivity rate into the fish farms, and you know that in a short period we get a high production from the fish ponds. That's why it is need for the species selections, or which of the characters it is found into that species, the species they have selected for the culture. So first of all, that it should be a nutritive, its flesh should be palatable, means the species, these are the nutritive value, and it should be able for the feeding of the large population or the humans. The fish should have a rapid growth rate. The growth rate of that species is when high it is compared with the other species. Then it should be utilized the natural as well as artificial food for the selected species. Because of that we are giving the large production from the short period. So that's why we have to supply the artificial food for the fish. So the species they have selected for the culture, they are utilized for the natural as well as the artificial food. Now it should be hardy and resistant to the disease. Then it must be prolific breeder, and it should be able breed in the capacity. Means they have the prolific breeder, means in a year one or two times or two or three times they are laying the eggs into the confined water bodies. That's why it is called as the prolific breeder. Then it should be herbivorous in feeding habitat. It is not compulsory for the herbivorous, but the different kind of the species, they are herbivorous, omnivorous, and the carnivorous type of species we have selected for the fish farm or the culture. The fish should be tasteful and with high nutritive value. It is like for the people, for the eating. The species that can be cultured together with the competition to each other for the food and the space. When we are going to the polyculture, one or more species they have selected for the culture into the nursery, rearing and the stocking pond. So the species they have not competitive to each other for the food and the space. Then it should be able to survive under temporary bad water conditions and hardship of the transports. Means they have the study, they have resistant some of the diseases. Such kind of species they be utilized for the culture of the fish farms. These are nothing but the qualities of the fishes they are using for the culture into the ponds. But another one, there is a number of characters we have showing for the species. It is nothing but called as the biology of the fish species. Now first of all, that the biology of Katla, you know that the biology in the sense they are depends upon that the points of, that is the distribution, the characters, food and feeding habits, growth, maturity, fecundity and the economic importance. Now look at this picture. This is the picture of the biology of Katla, that is a picture of Katla, and it is found into the all over the fresh waters in India. They are nothing but called as the Indian major carps, that is a Katla. The characters, you know that the body is cylindrical, tapering at the both ends, presence of the fins, presence of operculum, presence of the eyes, the pair of eyes. Now the different type of the scales is present on the body of that fish. All the types of species, they have the same characters. Now let's see the food and feeding habitats. You know that the larval stages of the species of Katla, Rohu and the Mrigal, they are give the phytoplankton as well as zooplankton. So when it is comes into the adult stage, they have the confirm of the food and feeding habits. So the Katla, it is prefer the phytoplanktonic food, and it is found into the surface of pond water. So that's why it is called as the surface feeder. Next one, it is the growth. When the growth is depends upon that the which kind of food material to be supplied for the species in the form of supplementary feeding, and what type of the stocking into the nursery rearing ponds. It depends upon that the growth of the species, but the growth of the species is very fast when it is compared with the other species. Now that stocking rate of the fish into the nursery pond, that is a 10 to 12.5 lakhs per hectare. It attained 20 to 25 millimeter in the 15 days. It attained 30 to 46 millimeter in 1 year. It attained 2.5 kg at the end of 2 years. It attained the 6 to 7 kg for 3 years. So this is the growth of the species. They are live into the different kinds of the pond, but it attains the maturity at 2 years old. The fecundity of that species, it is a 4 lakhs at a one time. So 18 eggs per gram body weight, they have the fecundity rate of the species. So this is nothing but the characters we have seen the biology of that species for the culture of the fish farms. Next one is the biology of Labiorhita. This is the column feeder. They are living into the column of pond. The characters is also same, but the stocking rate, that is the 10 to 25.5 lakhs per hectare. Then it is attained 20 to 30 millimeter in size into the 15 days. Then 33 to 45 millimeter at the end of 1 year. Then 2 to 3 kg they are attained the size at the end of 2 years, and 5 to 4 kg at the end of 3 years. Now this is the growth of the Labiorhita, and this Labiorhita, it is found in the column of the pond, and they have prepared the zooplanktonic food. So that's why it is called as the carnivorous type of the feeding habitat. The species, they have attained the maturity stage as 2 years old, but the induced breeding species, they are attained at the end of 1 year. So fecundity rate is the same other than the species, that is 2,25,000 to 2,79,440,000. So that is the fecundity rate at a one time of that species. But 271 eggs per gram body weight of the fish, it is nothing but the fecundity rate of Labiorhita. Now next one is the third species, that is biology of Sirena mrugala. Now look at this picture. This is the picture of biology of Sirena mrugala, or this is the picture of Sirena mrugala. It is a silvery white in color. They are living at the bottom of pond, and they have prepared both type of food like phytoplankton as well as the zooplankton. So that's why it is a omnivorous in feeding habitat. Then the stocking rate of that species, that is 10 to 12.5 lakhs at per hectare. The 25 to 30 millimeter, the size they have attained in 15 days. 1 to 2.2 kg at a 1 year, 2.6 kg as a 2 year, and 4 kg as a 3 year. So these species they have attained the maturity stage at the end of 2 year old, but the induced breeding species they have attained the maturity stage at the end of 1 year. So 2,16,000 eggs they are laying at a one time. So that is the fecundity rate of the species, that is Sirenia mrugala. But 147 eggs per gram body weight of the fish, that is nothing but the 1 gram of ovary, it has presents 147 eggs into the ovary of the Sirenia mrugala. So now this is the three species. These are the Katla, Rohu and the Mrugal. Katla is the surface feeder, Rohu is the column feeder, and Mrugal is the bottom feeder. And the Katla it is herbivorous in nature, Rohu is carnivorous in nature, and Sirenia mrugala it is the omnivorous in nature. So it is nothing but the best combination for the polyculture, and these are the species they have preferred in Indian pisciculturalists for the culture of species into the fish farm. Now let us we have start what is meant by the exotic species. Now these are the species they have brought from the other countries. Because of that, the favorable conditions they are attempt in our country, that is India. That is, these are the three species, that is Hypothalamic Monotrix, then the Tinopharanon idilla, silver carp. These three species, common carp, these are the three species they have brought from the China. So that's why it is called as the Chinese species. But the Chinese species they have survived in the same water. Some of the qualities they have not get into the Indian major carps. So that's why we are using the exotic carps. So first of all, that biology of Hypothalamic Monotrix, it is commonly called as the silver carp. So now look at this picture, it is a picture of the silver carp. Then the stocking rate of that silver carp, it is 10 to 12.5, but it is attained 25 to 30 millimeter in 15 days. 150 grams it is attained 1 year, 900 grams it's attained 2 year, and 1800 grams they are attained at the end of 3 years. The maturity of that species it is attained 20 months old, and but the induced breeding species they have attained the 11 months. So fecundity rate or fecundity of that species, that is 1,45,000 to 2,04,400. So this is the fecundity rate at a one time of laying the eggs into the confined water body. So that's why the fecundity rate of the species 171 eggs per gram body weight of the fish, and it is nothing but the silver carp. It is present on the surface feeder. So its the feeding habit is silver carp it is a bottom feeder. So that's why it is the habitat. It is a carnivorous in nature. Now next one is the biology of Tinopharanon idilla, that is the grass carp. You know that it is a commonly species they are used for the eradication of aquatic weeds into the pond culture. The number of species they are utilized for the eradication methods of the aquatic weeds. Now this grass carp, you know that the taken of food in the name, they have presents the feeding habitat of the species, like they are prefer the aquatic weeds or the phytoplanktons. The stocking rate of that species at the rate of 10 to 12.5 lakhs per hectare, it attained 22 to 27 millimeter in 15 days, 1.6 kg at the end of 1 year, 3 kg at the end of 2 years, 3 kg at the end of 4.7 kg. The maturity of that species is different from the male and female. So male is attained at the end of 2 years and female is attained at the end of 3 years. But both male and female, they have attained the maturity stage, that is an induced breeding species, they have attained at the end of 1 year. So 3,08,000 to 6,18,000 the eggs they have laying at a one time. So 610 eggs per gram body weight of the fish, it is nothing but the fecundity rate of that the species. Now third one is the Cyprinus carpio, that is a common carp. You know that this is the picture of common carp. Then how it is developed?